The Tuple class is a relatively new feature that enables you to very quickly create custom data structures that are similar to classes. Tuple objects can't contain methods. They are only structures for data storage. It's best practice to avoid using tuples where possible, as they don't have the flexibility of real classes and can make your code harder to understand. To begin this lesson, open the Advanced Math project from your Sample Files folder. And open matrix.cs if it isn't open already. Tuple objects provide an easy way to return multiple values from a method. It's important to note, however, that it's better to do this using either the out keyword or, ideally, by returning a custom class. You will learn about the out keyword in lesson 4.8. You're only using a tuple object as a return value in this lesson to demonstrate how tuples work, as you may inherit a project that makes use of tuples. Create a new method now with the following code. Public tuple int, double, get count and sum. This method is marked with an error because it doesn't yet return a value. Store the values that the method will return by adding the following code. Int count equals numbers.count, double sum equals get sum. Now on the next line, you're going to create a tuple object that contains the count and sum values. Add the following code. Tuple int double count and sum equals new tuple int double count sum. You need to set the values of a tuple object's properties when you create the object. After the tuple object has been created, its values will be read-only. This code creates a new tuple object containing an int property and a double property. Tuple objects have a limit of 8 properties, but you can nest tuple objects by using tuple as a property type within another tuple. Finally, add the following code to return the tuple object. Return, count, and sum. Your tuple code is now complete. Now let's examine your tuple object. Once it is created, a tuple object will behave in exactly the same way as any other object with read-only properties. Add a new line before the return line and type count and sum dot. The IntelliSense menu for your tuple object appears. The tuple object's properties are listed as item 1 and item 2. It's impossible to give descriptive names to a tuple object's properties, which makes them much less useful than classes, which can have descriptive property names. Remove the code that you just added. As well as creating a tuple object using the standard method of instantiating a class, you can also use the tuple.create method. The only reason to use this method is to cut down on the amount of code that you need to type, as the create method will automatically select the correct data types. Replace the code new tuple int double count sum with tuple.create count sum. You could make this lesson's code even shorter by using var count and sum equals tuple.create count sum. However, I'd recommend against doing this, as it makes the code harder to understand. The var data type is covered in session 5 of the Essential Skills course in this series. Close Visual Studio now, saving your changes if prompted. You've now completed Lesson 2.1. Use the Tuple class.